Hey everybody, welcome back. You know, I've noticed it's a struggle for people to slow down these days. It seems harder and harder for us to find quiet. Tonight feels like a good night to slow things down. What do you say? Oh, I forgot to do something. Uh-oh. Oh boy, I lucked out. Whew. Okay. Forgot to put my page. See? That's what I get for trying to move things too fast, huh? Well, anyway. Are you one of those people that, like, you obsess negatively about things that could happen? Like, you expect rejection to happen? Like, let's say you have a boss who's kind of a micromanager, and do you find yourself worrying of what they're gonna say? You know, like, oh, I know this isn't gonna go over good, and they're gonna say this, that, and the other. You ever waste energy on that kind of stuff? I have. I've had so many conversations in my head, rebuttals and just expectations of things going badly, and they just never happened. They never manifested. What a waste. What a waste of energy, right? For those of you guys that do that, you should consider writing. I mean, you might want to try to make it pay off for you, right? You know, we create trauma for ourselves unnecessarily sometimes. Now, the last time I was talking about those lines, remember? Those spider lines? You know, where it shows the webbing and whatever? I'm going to leave those alone. I'm going to add those, I think, last. I mean, I know this is supposed to be the inking video, but I'm not going to overdo it, guys. As you can see, I'm using a Sharpie Ultra Fine Point. We talked in one of my videos about line weight. And there's varying line weights. At least there should be. To add emphasis and that sort of thing. Well, to be honest, this style is kind of counter to what I'm used to doing. I think I've mentioned this before, that I add my darks last, typically. I like bringing my color in, and then I settle. And I think I'm going to transition into doing that more and more as these videos go on. And I know it's not the traditional method, but I'm an untraditional guy. Or I should say unconventional. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. I'm not a conventional artist. I do what works for me. Yeah, that looks cool. Right on. So, see that line right there? See that right there? That's going to be a shadow line. I added that. Well, I was waiting for you guys to show up. I just, I get started a little bit. I know you were running late, so you're forgiven. I know traffic is just lately. I'm joking, man. I'm joking. Well, the eyes look kind of rough, but we're nowhere near done, so I'm not going to even stress about it. Just remember, oh, look, his leg says blue. I added that last time. And I gave him a lot of muscles. If you're drawing along with me and you want to add, if you want to make him smaller muscles, that's cool. I threw these I threw these extra angles in there. Remember I was talking about Humberto Ramos. Check out his style, you guys. I'm serious. You won't regret it. He's got a really cool style. I love his characters. All his characters are just like, wow. I say that about a ton of artists, though. I really do. Got a lot of heroes out there, a lot of artist heroes. So anyway, inner dialogue. Inner dialogue can really mess us up. I mean, how often have you ever listened to yourself when you're on a negative rant? Like, oh, that can't be done. We can't do this. I know I have, much to my own detriment. Told myself for a long time I couldn't do certain things. I just can't. I don't have the talent or the character or whatever. When people were telling me too, they're like, yeah, I think this would be really good for you. Family. But that inner voice still telling me, no, you can't do that. And that sucks. That's a prison right there. So I challenge you to figure out the voices that matter. When you can't trust yourself, who do you go to? Well, I hope your answer would be that you find somebody you can talk to. Somebody with an outside perspective that isn't dealing with all your childhood trauma or whatever it is you got going on. Somebody who isn't somebody who can see you from the outside. Because sometimes we're just so close. I mean, how, we're insanely close to ourselves. I mean, we can't get away from ourselves, guys, right? I mean, let's look at this logic, okay? In psych hospitals, if you're working a unit and a family member gets brought in there, it's common practice for you to not work with them, that family member, even though you know them. And you'd think to yourself, well, that seems kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, don't you think you'd probably be the most help because you know this person, right? Well, the answer's no. Sorry, I forgot to adjust the camera there. Apologies. I won't do it again. Not today. Not for the next few minutes, anyway. No, but seriously, they family member comes in inpatient. Guess what? If you're working that unit, suddenly you're bounced off that unit. You have to go work another unit because, or you can't deal with that person. You have to redirect them. Nope, sorry, I can't help you. You need to go talk to this person. Now, by being insanely frustrating to your family member, but it's just the way it is. Why? Because you're too close. You're too close to the situation. You're too close to whatever it is. And there's a famous quote by a certain man named Jesus of Nazareth who said that a prophet isn't welcome in his hometown. Because all these people, Jesus being the prophesied Messiah, right? And guess who had the hardest? Well, I don't want to say they had the hardest time with it, but the people that grew up with him, they grew up around him. They're like, nah. In the Bible, it even says surely this is the carpenter's son. This is Joseph's son. No. I can just imagine the people I remember when he was 9 years old, and again, that's extra biblical. That's me. That's my supposition. But the point is if you're too close to the situation, you can do the least amount of good. So sometimes in dealing with ourselves, who we can't get away from ourselves, so we do the next best thing. We get outside help. I'm not telling you to go see a therapist, guys, but it is awful nice to talk to somebody outside of the situation. And sometimes that could be a good friend, be like a pastor, just somebody else. I wouldn't recommend a spouse, because even they're too close. Because sometimes there's things you just got to talk to a stranger about. Somebody who can be completely objective. Because we get going and going. I heard a statistic about childhood trauma. I can't remember the channel I was watching, but it was one of the lesser known facts about childhood trauma, like one of the, what would it be called? The symptomology. And it's people that rush everywhere. Like if you're in a rush, constant rush, just rushing around to get somewhere. And you might just go, well, how is that related? Well, as it turns out, they believe that there's a correlation between, it has to deal with self-worth and just not enjoying the journey. You got to get there. You got to get this done. You got to get it on time. You got to go. And I'm not saying all of all you good people grew up in homes where you were traumatized, but you got to ask yourself, is this really important? Is it of the utmost importance for me to get yet another speeding ticket? to get to where I'm gonna go. I switched it up a little bit. You guys, I switched over to a normal Sharpie because I'm gonna be throwing in some heavy dark. Now, please notice that I'm just gonna focus on the areas of his suit which are gonna be typically blue. And I'm very uncomfortable right now. I am outside of my comfort zone. I don't know if you know that, but the way that I'm doing this is just not the way I normally draw stuff. But we're doing this, we're in this together, right? It's a challenge for myself. I talk about that a lot. I talk about challenging oneself. But there's a saying, you can use it for any industry. But if you're in leadership, any kind of leadership, it's get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because you will be challenged. If you don't challenge yourself, things are going to kind of suck. Oh, I should have left another little highlight in there. That's okay. It's not going to be, it's going to be more dark anyway. So anyway, I'm not worried about that, guys. So in here, again, I'm avoiding the areas where his suit is going to be red. I'm more or less throwing it down where it's going to be black. It's going to be, well, not black. It's going to be the blue color, right? Yeah, just slow it down. All right, let's get up here. Almost did it again, huh? There's a weird thing that happens as I'm doing YouTube. It's really bizarre. Like when I'm drawing by myself, and I say by myself, when you guys aren't here, when the camera's not on, I notice that I make more mistakes when the camera's on. Isn't that crazy? Like there's things that I notice like after I get done and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute, this is off. How come I didn't catch this while I was filming? Interestingly enough, I think it's because I'm talking, you know, because art in and of itself, it's a very quiet discipline. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I could be singing along to some music right now. But typically it's a very, you know, it's got a certain element of thoughtfulness to it. That's why I invite you to draw with me. But anyway, as I'm running my mouth, a lot of the time, and I say this tongue in cheek, okay, like I'm cracking up back here, but as I run my mouth, while, you know, you guys are watching me draw, I really am. I'm really like not at my best. And it's good. It's good. And you might wonder, well, why? Well, because my focus is divided. And it's just going to make my focus better as I get used to pulling you guys along in my art journey. I don't mean to make it sound like, oh, geez, you guys are a burden or whatever. You know, you're not. You're not at all. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for spending time with me. I hope this blesses you. Because I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. But I have noticed that I'll go back and watch videos and I'm like, wow. Because we are our own worst critic, aren't we? here I am doing it again. But I want to get real with you guys. If you can sit down and draw in front of people and not be affected, oh man, you know what? That's awesome. That's really awesome. Like, you know what I love doing is caricature, right? But anytime anybody brings up, oh man, we should have you do the staff party. This is really great. You could set up your easel and you could draw everybody that comes in. And we'll pay you, of course, right? And of course that's tempting because I'm not bad at caricature. I'm okay. I could be better, like everything. We could all be better, right? But I'm filled with such anxiety thinking about drawing with all that chaos happening around me. And not only that, I think it's the conversation I'd be missing out on. That would be a bummer. I'd be like, oh man, I'd be stuck because I've done it before. I remember one time we had a birthday party for one of my daughters. Was it my daughter? No, it was actually, I think it was my friend's daughter over at our house. Maybe it was my daughter. I don't know. Yeah, it was my friend's daughter. No, it was my daughter. Sorry. I'm having a senior moment. I remember because my friend's daughter was there, and she's much younger than my kids. And years later, I was giving her some art lessons, and and it was kind of hilarious because of the back of her door. She goes, "Hey, remember this?" And me and the dad, we're up in her room, and I saw this like really crappy drawing, and I thought she had done it. No, it was my caricature, and this is of course years later. So I'd gotten better at it, and I was like, "Oh, you still have that drawing, huh?" And the dad was like, "Yep, she loves that thing," and and these guys are both just raving about it, like, "Oh man, this was so cool," and again, that critic, right, guys? I'm sitting there going, "I could do so much better now," and I just kind of, okay, yeah, no, that's great. You still have that. Could I give you some money to take that down? I'll take it with me. It's like that's how you feel. I've done murals in the past, and I've come back to them years later. Like in the moment, it's like, yeah, everybody's like, "Oh man, this is cool, yeah." And then years later, I look at it and I'm like, ooh, gosh, because that's the thing. You get better at it. I guess that's the encouragement I'm trying to throw out there too, guys, is you get better at it. Whatever it is you do, you're going to get better at it. Okay. All right. I have a very loose, just some very loose blacks in there. Now I don't want to go crazy with the black on the red areas. Let me say that, because I think I can achieve some shadow just with like, instead of using red, I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna use brown or like a maroon color, like a brick red, to make the shadow. Okay, so I'm gonna do this my way. I'm gonna do some shadow work in here that doesn't involve shadow work that doesn't involve like heavy dark lines. Like even these, I'm gonna mix these up a little bit. I just was kind of trying to follow some muscles. And again, the muscles don't, it doesn't matter. It's all basically it's your gig. This is your gig, guys. You call the shots, and I'm calling the shots right now. Now I fixed up the hands. I don't know if you caught that. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do some erasing. I think it's dry enough now. Now you got to be careful. If you're doing inking, you definitely don't want to come in and start erasing. Why? Because that crap's going to smear, and you're going to be like, oh geez, So I'm going to focus on an area that I know is dry, like his feet, and I know his hands are dry. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to kind of do some erasing, because by the time I come back in here with the color, And again, there is a certain satisfaction to getting rid of those lines. I know in previous videos I told you, oh yeah, I got customers that really like that, and they do. But like if you really want to, if you want a nice clean drawing, you know, you'll come in and pull them out. So anyway, I mean, you can see the difference, right? Now again, I could have gotten even smaller of a marker here. Again, the marker that I'm thinking of is what Jim Lee uses, artist Jim Lee. Check out his YouTube. He's amazing. He's like one of my art heroes. He uses those like Sakura Micron pencils. They're really, really tiny. Like you think the ultra fine tip is small? There you go. See that? These are even tighter. They're tinier. And believe it or not. Okay. Believe it or not. So that's pretty cool. It's all right. Okay. So again, what is your inner critic telling you? I know what mine's telling me. Mine will come in and go, yeah, his shoulders look weird and maybe his shoulders too big. I'll be like, okay. And what else? I don't care. We're gonna call it done. Okay. So the other thing too, I think I might do, maybe I could do a cast shadow. How would that look? You want to do some cast shadows with me? So when I say cast shadow, that I should be including the area down here on his feet. I don't want to do that though. I already told you what my plan was, okay? But I'm gonna do some, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm not gonna do a cast shadow, but let's draw where it would be. So when I'm talking cast shadow, let's say the light source is, oops, you guys are out of frame, sorry. So let's say the light source is over here, right? So it's gonna be, we're gonna have some highlights over here. You know what, maybe not, because I put that shadow over here, so that doesn't quite make sense, does it? Okay, we're changing it. There we go. I think that's what I originally wanted to do, is put the light source over here. So with that said, specifically, and you don't have to get crazy with this, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a dark gray when it comes time to color, and I'm just going to kind of throw in where it could be, like I could make this like extended here, like for his leg, because again, shadows, man, shadows get kind of crazy, don't they? Like if the light's over here, you know, like if the light's further and closer, if it's closer to his body, that shadow is going to diminish, right? But if it's a little further away, the shadow, it's going to get crazier and it's going to get a little lighter. So, you know, what the hell? Let's just, so if it's up there, let's just, yeah, why not? Why not? Put some, yeah, anyway, you get the idea. And it looks like, you know, some kind of weird wet spill right in there. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But again, it's about, you know, the bottom line of this video, you guys, is just slowing down. Because when you slow down, you really, you fall into this mastery vibe, you know? When you're not rushing. I don't mean, you know, Russian, like nationality. When you're not rushing, sorry, I will enunciate. Because you can be Russian, tovarish. You can be as Russian as you want, especially if you are Russian. I'm Irish as the day is long. Well, I'm American, but I'm of Irish heritage. The Irish people don't consider me to be Irish. But anyway, so you like that? Look at that. And again, you notice I changed it up. I'm using my black eraser. It's not a kneaded eraser. It's definitely a lot like those other ones I was using, Faber-Castell or whatever. It's just I found this one. and I was excited because it's got some wear and tear on it. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to put this one to work. So again, what I'm going to do is kind of get rid of some of those lines. Hey, look at that. We have Deadpool. What? That's crazy. No, I still don't like the shape of his eyes. I'm going to fix that. Like this one I like a little bit more. I don't like that one. But again, we'll get it figured out. Like even, look at that. Taking all those details out of there, that's actually really cool. I don't think that's going to set us back at all. Because I was trying to keep those in there so I could kind of plot out where the shadows are going to be. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem, guys. And like that, you know, again, I'm leaving my weird little Spidey wet spill in there. Ew. What's going on, Spider-Man? Don't drink so much liquid, buddy. Gosh. Jeez. Anyway. All right. Well, thanks for slowing down with me tonight. Protect your mind. And yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say. Anyway, I'll see you for the next one. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. All right. Take care.